It's so full they might actually start falling out.
Yeah, those cold days, I sat in my house shivering. I just wanted the chairs back.
It's always fun to reopen the terrace. Still.
You know, this winter was awful. I guess it was just long.
Very long winter and really cold.
That's putting it lightly.
It's not that warm today, but you come out and enjoy it while you can.
Yeah, hold from the bottom, yeah, just so it doesn't fall on you. Thanks.
I don't know, it's a really Madison thing that outsiders don't really understand until those Monday nights on the terrace with a pitcher of beer. Consume more beer than I care to necessarily admit, but, you know.
It's the base of UW campus, where everything stems from that.
I always tell people that this is one of the greatest places in Madison. It's amazing to see the terrace chairs out.
I only have a limited number of days left on UW campus, so taking full advantage of them, and if it's not raining, like I said, I'll be here.
You didn't have to be far to see the plumes of smoke as Madison fire crews worked to put out a warehouse fire on the city's east side. The building under smoke and fire, owned by Windsor Building Systems, housed roofing trusses.
The first thing was I couldn't believe it, and then the second thing, I called the employee back and found out that all of our employees were out of the building and everybody was safe.
The business president got in his car as soon as he got the call, but the building was fully engulfed by the time he arrived. All this on a day you don't want to be outside.
The biggest challenge in putting the fire out, the cold. Madison's fire chief says when they arrived, it was 15 below zero, freezing the water and hose lines.
Chief Davis says those rotations are crucial given the real chance for hypothermia in these conditions.
We actually have city buses that we put our firefighters in, and they get to sit down and have a hot cup of coffee and move on from there.
The sun, not much help. The ground, still icy and unsafe, prevented firefighters from attacking the fire aggressively.
There's been a couple of slips and falls, but nothing significant to report.
In the end, the company's main office and roof truss building was destroyed, but crews were able to keep the fire from spreading to two other main warehouses.
You know, it's bad, but it could have been worse.
In Madison, Mary Jo Ola, WISC News 3.
And in this case, there was just a bit of information that we needed to, reaffirm.
13 years ago, when Curtis Wilski was first buried, cops were admittedly concerned about his cause of death then. Now, time is on their side.
With new technologies and different things changing, this was needed.
They're exhuming Wilski's body to compare a second autopsy with the first one after detectives received new information.
We're looking at, bones and see if there's any breakage of the bones that would help prove the theory of what happened here.
What happened was in April 2001, Wilski was found dead in a ditch off Highway Z, his truck nearby. It was clear he'd been hurt, but the case went cold until last July when investigators announced a person of interest. The ensuing media coverage meant more tips poured in and led to this. The last step, authorities said, that will help them build a strong case against the suspect.
And it's a good feeling that we're able to, close this out and bring closure to the family.
Good morning.
If a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Perfect, thank you.
Good morning. If I could everyone take your seats.
Then moments like this
I kept getting phone calls, texts, emails. You see what's going on in D.C.?
Are priceless.
They're breaking down the barricades.
Not even a government shutdown was going to stop America's veterans.
And as we've tried to get the message out, we were very much on.
88 of them from Wisconsin and their guardians left Madison Saturday for D.C. in a send-off soaked with tradition and wrapped in well wishes. The 2-hour honor flight and trip to follow is funded with donations. It's the organization's 13th trip with World War II, Korean, and Vietnam War veterans.
I know 3 people on this plane. That's all, and so I'm looking forward to meeting a lot more of them.
Little did Don Schneider know
Let's give them a nice warm welcome.
About the people waiting to meet him.
Welcome to D.C.
An overwhelming welcome to the nation's capital.
Thank you for your service.
That would turn solemn after the group stepped off at their first stop. On the hour, the guards at the Tomb of the Unknown change, an act never broken in more than 70 years. There are another 300,000 men and women buried at Arlington Cemetery. That's not far from the Marine Corps Memorial.
If you can't see her, she can't see you.
The group had its picture taken there, and Spring Green native Francis Feiner had a confession.
I have to admit that it really wasn't my idea.
His daughter encouraged he make the trip to see the statues in his honor, like the World War II Memorial, a place for some to reflect and remember, and for others to reconnect at a corner of the world they all have in common.
My favorite part today was meeting American people that have compassion for a generation that fought for our country, and it's still in their hearts, in their minds, that they appreciated and loved us for it, and they'll never, never forget it.
Other significant monuments weren't forgotten about either, and while the group gathered at them, they danced at another ceremony before heading home. A memorable day capped off by a final celebration only Wisconsin could pull off. Nearly 6,000 people packed the airport.
All these people are here for Howard. It's just amazing.
Did you ever dream you'd see this many people?
No, I can't believe it.
It might be the most to have ever come and say thank you to the greatest generation and beyond.
Everyone wants pictures of their kids.
He's a very typical little boy. He loves trains, he likes bugs.
But when your child doesn't like cameras, that can be a problem.
David's a fun guy, and you know, he has a personality that we wanted to share.
Photos of the feisty 3-year-old were few and far between.
When you're just kind of trying to make it through the day, getting pictures taken is not necessarily something that seemed like a priority.
Treating the autism David was diagnosed with became the priority.
That was a really emotional year, and as hard as hearing the diagnosis was, and it was even more challenging than I think I would have imagined.
Church, you got it!
These days, David's busy. His week is filled with 40 hours of treatment.
We see the busiest person I know is my 3-year-old.
But it also opened up David for other things.
And I just really loved working with the kids and the families that I met.
Through April, Fraser is sharing the pictures and stories of local families touched by autism on her blog. Her hope is to help others understand the disorder and see the kids for who they are.
You want them to really be able to see the intelligence and the funny and the silly. You just want people to accept your child for who they are, regardless.
Those pictures, those moments caught in time, mean the world to David's parents.
Her photos tell a story that your child cannot. And through her photos, you know, I look at them right now and I see that he speaks a lot through his eyes and his expressions and his smile. And although his words can't say that, his expressions do. And that's priceless.